The amazing digital circus has officially reached its finale, and over the past few weeks, I've challenged myself to build the main characters from the series entirely out of Lego. Today, I'll be taking you behind the scenes to show how I made them. Before we get started, if you're a fan of the amazing digital circus, consider leaving a like. And if you'd like to see me review the official merchandise off the show, or build more characters from the series out of Lego, let me know down in the comments. Pomni was actually one of my first characters I built, and I started from the ground up by building her iconic red and blue shoes. I also made her limbs white and narrow, just like we see her in the show. I added more slopes to curve down from her shoulders down to her hips. Lastly, for her head, I made her expression, like she's very shocked, like we see in the show. I built the red and blue jester hat, also adding the little golden bells on each side. Next, I built Ragatha. I started with a basic blue dress. I also added a few patches of different shades of blue for detail, since the dress in the show is not one shade of blue alone. I also added the doll-like arms, hands, and feet, making sure to nail the shape of the hands. For Ragatha's face, I was really excited to use the technique for the hair, using the red sausage piece everywhere all over the head for the hair. I also added the patch on the eye as well. Kinger was a very standard figure to build, especially when I was also building his wife Queenie. Since they both share the same robes, just color swapped, but different heads, for Kinger's head, I built it out of the tan pieces, also adding his crazy eyes, and the cross on his head for the iconic king piece. As for Queenie, it was much more difficult. I built her in dark brown. It was the perfect color for the character, but I knew Lego didn't make a ton of parts in this color. I added her queen crown and the top piece around the crown, also adding orange tiles for her eye color. What a perfect pair of characters. When I built Jax, one of the biggest challenges was that I barely owned any pieces in this exact shade of purple, so I had to redesign the parts of the model around the pieces I actually owned. I added a shade of color called Coral for Jax's overalls, adding the little pocket and yellow buttons. I used some small purple slopes for Jax's toes. I built the arms out of some 1x1 bricks, since I bought a ton of them at the Lego store. Thank goodness Jax is wearing gloves. But since there's not any joints in this color, I used some black clips to attach them to the arms to the shoulders. For Jax's head, I used some slopes on the side of his head to make the oddly rounded shape, also adding his shifty eyes and large grin. I'm gonna miss this funny bunny. Building Zooble and Gangle, it was a really fun challenge to build these two, since how in the world do you build a character completely out of ribbons? Or with Zooble, a character that has so many different parts and pieces and such a large head being kept up with such small legs. Trying to build Zooble in Lego felt like solving a puzzle, where every piece wanted to go in different directions. I built the blue boot and the curved foot. I built the large, round torso with covered in polka dots, adding Zooble's claw arms and regular arm. With the feather attached. Lastly, for the head, I built a large dark pink triangle, adding eyes to the front and the two antennae on the top. For Gangle, how do you build someone who's basically made out of ribbons? Turns out, very carefully. I built the figure around these clear Technic parts to hold the figure up, wrapping around over and over and over again as I went up. For Gangle's mask, I built all the different kinds of masks, a happy and sad mask, and also including a broken version of the sad mask. For Caine, our favorite ringmaster, his head was definitely the hardest to build, keeping his floating eyes attached without the whole thing collapsing on itself. It took a lot of trial and error. For his torso, I built him a large suit, adding his cane and white gloves. As for his little parasite buddy Bubble, I think this build was the one out of the bunch I was the least happy with. But for my version, I just built a small, round white sphere, adding a hinging jaw with large teeth and large black eyes. I think it gets the job done, at the very least. Kaufmo was another fun build. I started with his oversized yellow torso and giant red boots, before adding his signature white gloves. I actually used some LEGO Minecraft printed tiles to recreate his clown makeup. And of course, I couldn't leave out Rivet. I experimented with several different head designs before settling on one that captured those huge frog eyes.
Shouldn't be so sad that in spite of my benevolence you only show malevolence. It's madness, so quit your sadness. You test my patience, no more pretend.
And with that, we've reached the end of this LEGO journey through the amazing digital circus. Building every one of these characters has been an incredible challenge, and honestly, one of my favorite projects I've worked on in recent months. If you'd like to see me build more characters, props, or locations from the series, leave your ideas in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!